Today, our virtual field trip series takes us to Lake Lure. Today we're looking out over the lake. This is from Morse Park. You can hear our friends, the Canada geese, making a lot of racket in the background. That's because Morse Park is a place that Canada geese love because there's lots of grass where they can graze. But we're going to be talking about water quality today and the importance of having good water quality, and how Lake Lure is a good example of good water quality and good stewardship on the part of the community to make sure that the water quality remains good for this lake, for the people that use it, hopefully for many years to come.
Alright, so Lake Lure is the result of the impounding of the Broad River. Construction on the dam began in 1926 and it was completed in 1927. Lake Lure is part of the vision of Dr. Lucius B. Morse, who's the same man responsible for the development of what would become Chimney Rock Park and later Chimney Rock State Park. The purpose for creating the lake was as a recreational attraction for investors and land developers interested in the vision of Dr. Morse, a vision which would be shattered by the crash of the stock market in 1929. Even after the Great Depression, the primary use of Lake Lure will continue to be for recreational use, which would include swimming, water skiing, boating, and fishing. Lake Lure is a private lake owned by the town of Lake Lure and held in trust by the Lake Lure Marine Commission on behalf of the citizens of the town of Lake Lure. Even today, Lake Lure remains a popular destination for not only the people who live on the lake, but also tourists and visitors from all over the nation who come to experience the beauty that the Hickory Nut Gorge area has to offer. So here we are looking east down the main channel of Lake Lure. You can see the main channel there, all the houses along the shoreline. And as we turn back toward the west, you can see Rolling Bald, quick view of that. But you're now looking back where Morse Park and Hickory Nut Gorge are to the west. Now Morse Park was built basically as an afterthought. Morse Park was not originally part of the lake design, but rather came out of a need to perform continual dredging. Almost immediately after the river was impounded to create the lake, it was realized that sediments from the Broad River began to accumulate. At the time, the river channel was approximately where Town Hall and the Washburn Marina are today. As sediment began to accumulate in the river channel, sandbars and islands began to build up, creating a continual need to dredge. As this problem persisted, a plan was developed to use the dredge materials to build up the land, creating the landmass that we now know as Morse Park. So when Morse Park was constructed, they basically used the material that was pulled directly from the river. They would dredge over here in the river channel using a drag line and then dump the material on land until a significant landmass had been developed. The land that now encompasses Morse Park would have been where the river channel would have been as opposed to its current location. But it's quite a view up Hickory Nut Gorge. We have Round Top Mountain on the right and Chimney Rock Mountain on the left. The Rocky Broad River flows down the gorge from the west, emptying into Lake Lure. Okay, so here we're looking at the Lake Lure Beach. The Lake Lure Beach is a very important asset to the town of Lake Lure. The beach has been bringing visitors to Lake Lure for almost a century and is a very popular attraction. Because the town of Lake Lure has two public beaches, the one seen here and the beach at Rolling Bald Resort, it's imperative that Lake Lure must have good water quality per the water quality standards set forth by the state of North Carolina. A storm or flash flood can move through the valley and impact the water quality very quickly because of the amount of runoff that can come from upland sites and from streams entering Lake Lure. The major problem caused by runoff is the introduction of fecal coliform. Fecal coliform are various species of bacteria that are generally associated with fecal material from animal waste. This could be anything from dog feces in the grass in the park, geese and vulture feces from where they roost on the beach, wild animals in the woods, or even human waste from improperly disposing of diapers or even leaky sewer systems and things like that. Even though these bacteria are naturally occurring in the gut of humans, if they are accidentally ingested, they can make us very sick. These bacteria are introduced into the water through runoff and then accumulate in the bottom sediments of the lake, particularly in areas where there isn't a lot of water circulation. These bacteria thrive in waters that are warm and low in oxygen and get released into the water when the bottom sediments are stirred up from people wading and swimming in the water. This drives the fecal numbers up and can create possible health hazards. Because of the serious nature of high fecal coliform counts and in the best interest of protecting the public, the town purchased and installed aerators. Aerators lie on the bottom of the lake and emit plumes of tiny bubbles and basically inject oxygen into the water and help to circulate the water. If you'll notice the white spots in the water below, these are the bubble plumes coming from the aerators. Fecal coliform don't thrive very well in high oxygen conditions. The movement of the water also helps to expose the bacteria to UV light from the sun, which helps to eliminate the bacteria. Part of the reason for this circulation problem has to do with the fact that Lake Lure Beach is cut off from the water source that would serve to keep it refreshed. That water source is Pool Creek. Many years ago, a peninsula was built to separate Pool Creek from the beach because the water from the creek was very cold and it would cause debris to wash up on the beach. This changed the circulation dynamic of the larger bay, causing the water at the beach to essentially become trapped. Pool Creek is a very clean stream, and it's possible that by diverting water from Pool Creek back into the beach area, that it could improve the circulation that the beach area needs. See, here's a shot looking back toward Pool Creek. That's the stream that you see there. You can see the peninsula coming off of the end of the beach there. And if you look down, you can see those white plumes of bubbles. The things that you see there in the water with the fingers, those are the docks that will, or the piers that will become part of the new marina when that project gets finished. You see those little dots down there in the water? Those are our aerators doing their job. Now, as we're shifting our view back around, okay, we're looking now back over where we can see back towards the main channel and Morse Park. See the gazebo there. Looking back over where the waters from Washburn Marina flow into the main channel, and that's driven by Pool Creek. You can see the Washburn Marina here that's being dismantled. This is the all part of that same project. Okay, you can also see where the former boardwalk has been removed. So you can't walk on the boardwalk now because that's all been taken out. The town's getting ready to build a new floating boardwalk, and we'll be adding additional slips to the marina. Those are what you saw being constructed over by Pool Creek. This new boardwalk will be low impact and will provide some additional water quality benefit due to the low maintenance of the structure. And this is a good decision on the part of the town. Obviously, the town of Lake Lure has a huge priority for protecting the water quality of the lake for the sake and safety of the visitors that come here every year. So it's a very, very important thing, and the town has done a great job trying to preserve and protect water quality in Lake Lure. So for many years, Lake Lure was given an unfortunate moniker that is sometimes still heard today. Rather than calling it Lake Lure, some people call it Lake Sewer. This is unfortunate because it very unfairly represents Lake Lure, causing visitors to believe that the lake is contaminated with sewage, and this is simply not the case. The name actually got attached to Lake Lure a few decades ago due to some trouble that the town was having with its sewer system. The town of Lake Lure's sewer system lies on the bottom of the lake and consists of a main trunk line and numerous lateral lines that connect to the manholes that are located around the shoreline. Those sewer lines are made of cast iron, and the system required gravity to move waste material from residences and businesses on land to the wastewater treatment plant down below the dam. Because of the topography of the land around Lake Lure, gravity flow was the best method at the time the sewer system was built in the late 1920s. So putting the sewer system on the bottom of the lake would have been considered an engineering feat at the time. As years passed, the cribbing material supporting the main line shifted somewhat and caused leaks in the system, but not in the way that you think. Because of water pressure at the bottom of the lake water started leaking into the sewer system, creating treatment issues at the wastewater treatment plant. And this problem found its way into the news media and in local communities, and the story got spun so that it looked like raw sewage was leaking into the lake. And here's why that can't happen. So the sewer lines are filled mostly with air and are not pressurized. The only thing in the lines is whatever wastewater happens to be moving through at a given time, and the rest of the space is air. Because the pressure of the lake water around the pipes is greater than the air pressure in the lines, anywhere there is a weak spot in the line, lake water gets pushed into the pipe. The pressure differential prevents wastewater from coming out of the pipe because of the inflow of lake water is so great. A great way to model this would be to place an empty water gun in a bowl of water. What happens? The water surrounding the water gun in the bowl flows into the water gun. As it does this, it forces the air out of the water gun so that you see air bubbles coming out of the gun. Now, nothing else comes out, so you would have any liquid or anything like that coming out, just air. Because there's so much lake water going into the system, it changes the operating parameters of the wastewater treatment plant and puts it in violation of its state operating permit. This means that the problem is not the lake itself, but rather the sewer system. In essence, the water flowing into the pipes is far superior in terms of water quality than what is in the pipes, but it makes treatment of the water much harder at the plant because of the methods needed to treat the water before it gets released back into the river. One concern that Lake Lure does have has to do with old failing septic systems that are found upland from the lake itself. These systems can sometimes leach pollutants into the lake due to the close proximity of the water table, causing elevated fecal counts in some areas of the lake. Fortunately, because the town does regular water sampling, such problems can be quickly identified and dealt with before they can create a health hazard. The town uses an independent lab to analyze its water samples. That analysis includes measuring phosphates, nitrates, ammonia, and dissolved oxygen, as well as temperature and water clarity. All things that can be indicators of possible problems if those numbers don't fall within specific parameters. The town has been sampling its water for almost 30 years, so history can support the fact that the waters of Lake Lure maintain good water quality and support the intended use based on its state classification. Samples from the Broad River and upstream tributaries flowing into Lake Lure are also taken to ensure that the water flowing into Lake Lure has good water quality, as those streams' water quality would have a direct impact on the water quality of Lake Lure.